Hey everybody, Texas Danny coming to you from now what is June the 12th, 2021, early Saturday AM, just a few minutes past midnight here in Texas. Central Standard Time, United States of America, North America, Earth maybe, big maybe, big maybe. I'd like everybody to consider this. This is a quick verbal video and just a quick chat here. In the observations I've been making lately, and keeping in mind, I have some vision problems. I've had that since June 2016 when I jumped. The next day when I did the drop in, colors, it was like a weird acid trip without the harsh overtones of it or the freaky side effects, but it still made me freak out. I was calling counseling, everybody, you name it. Called government agencies, yeah. Okay, now, the changes that are happening right now are very, very intriguing. I would like to ask everybody with any amount of botanical life, plant life, trees, shrubs, bushes, plants, flowers, whatever, anything that's alive, right? And over any type of area, I would like everybody to consider examining those, please. And what I am seeing is where we have things that are thriving and growing and are very plush and vibrant and look very healthy, and there's a lot of that around, right? Growing splendidly. But in it, mixed in it in a geometric sort of shotgun spread out in time and space, which just is out there in a uniform manner, right? Is happening, okay? And this is resulting in, say, a healthy 90 to 93% of plant life, mixed in, though, with a substantial, dedicated 6 or 7% dead zones, or dead bands, in that same plant life. Now, it's not going to go for every shrub or tree. For example, you can see an entire hedge of green shrubs, you know, a shrub hedge that's been trimmed up and nicely done, and it's all green and vibrant. But you also go look one over and look at it and find this big ass patch of a dead band in it, right? Then you can go to a tree and see a healthy tree and another healthy tree. Then you'll see another tree with this significant, sometimes even like half the tree is gone. And now, my old Earth, we had seasons. I'm from one of the larger, what would be considered here a super Earth, right? Which is very interesting because I didn't have to take a spatula to my ass to move around, right? So I could walk and stuff like that. I mean, I wasn't hugging the ground. Our skeletons seem to be a lighter, more flexible frames there. The skeleton and the human anatomy here is different, okay? Hands and all that good stuff are different, okay? So a lot of things are internal organs, skeleton frame, you name it. But what I'm seeing now in the outside world, and keep in mind though, I'm in Texas, in one of America's largest cities. It was the same thing back home, old country, if it's still there or not, whatever. And I'm the one who's gone from there. I don't know, you know, croaked. I don't know, but I digress. I'm sorry. I digress. Getting back to the situation of what our anatomical changes are going to do in correlation to the changes in the environment. We seem to be moving in vast increments in time. Now, this is only in representation because it could be bull stuff. I almost used the other word, sorry. It could be bull stuff, right? I see funny. I have seen funny since June 2016. Lights, colors, everything. And, but I see adequately enough to see, and I see some other things, some effects in the atmosphere of the sky, all that kind of thing. I also noticed vast tracts of things that are missing. They're gone, they're missing. And nobody says a word. Now, how can you miss this? Unless it's been programmed out like you never knew it was. Maybe it was never here. Like they didn't exist here. I'm sorry, man, that didn't exist. And I have people come up, oh man, yeah, this, well, I had to put up with this, I had to put up with that. Okay, then I'm getting some nips, I'm getting some mosquito bites here and there. Hope I don't curse myself because it seems like this place is a program. Oh, you want a couple bites, I'll give it to you. You don't have to demonstrate anything, just let it pass. But, they mention, oh yeah, we got this going on, we got that going on. But I've talked to other people about what's missing, right? And there's only one guy really, and he never brings it up again after we talk about it. Which in the old earth, if this kind of stuff was going on, people had what was called curiosity, right? They asked questions. Not here. Nobody asks questions here. Why? Why ask questions? Questions. Okay, I'm getting off on it. All right. Anyways, back again. Please check out your entire area. This thing should be a wide, scattered shotgun thing, right? You're going to find a lot of healthy plant life out there that, hey, it looks normal to me. Then you're going to find something like you look at a normal tree and you think, oh, it's normal, it's fine. Then you'll see this, hey, wait a minute, 10% of this is gone. 10% of this tree is, not behaving in a seasonal manner. Like we had spring, fall, winter, summer. Not in that order, but you know what I mean. And they have everything changed out. Oh, by the way, I do chime in to the people about Sydney, Australia, right? The Sydney Opera House, in my own reality, was one big opera house, which was made and designed to look like a sailing ship. Big fluttered sails, very modern Art Deco, but with the big fluttering sails right in the harbor, like you were at a giant ship. And it was one big building. It was a huge building, but it was one. Now there's two or three of them. Don't recall that, okay? But again, when you go out and you check the plants and you go out and you look, right? You're going to see a variety. You're going to see some things healthy. Then you're going to see like a plant with this. How come half this plant's gone? I even look for leaves. And there are some that have leaves. And then some others I'm wondering, okay, where'd the leaves go? Okay. Also, one more thing to mention here. What I've seen here, and this is also curiosity. And I saw more a couple of years ago, like in 2018. A few years, 2018 back. But you got with the plants and the trees, primarily the trees, is you get this clumping. You get these, like an entire branch that clumps, has the weight because the leaves go dead, the branch goes dead or whatever, and then they'll fall off. Now, we didn't have that. We had the fall seasons where the leaves would change the color of the leaves, less sun, all that kind of thing like that, and they would droop on down and then fall off the branch. Okay, now I do recall, though, on Old Earth, seeing one or two examples of that. Now that's the peculiarity of that, the strangeness of that, is do we have, in retrocausality, which has been mentioned with a lot of people, the time flow of this stuff, when it shoots on back, I don't think it necessarily shoots evenly, right? Because this stuff may be shooting back to various amounts of an infinite timelines, right? And hitting this timeline hard or that timeline hard or this one easy or this one just a little bit. So some of the effects that I'm seeing now could have just had a trickle that went back to the old timeline or the old Earth I was on. It's just something to think of. I think we have a lot to look forward to or look at. One advisory to give you the idea of the place on Earth that has very, very little activity and nothing going on is none. There is none. The entire Earth is in play. The whole thing. Subaquatic, surface areas, the mountains, that kind of thing like that. And what I'm seeing is mind-blowing. I would appreciate, give me comments, please. Give me feedback on the trees and stuff like that. I am somebody who likes to, I'm a everything goes on the table guy. I'm a multi-theorist. I go on this. ultimately, I believe God's got this. You know, it's not like, well, man, okay, because you can say, well, man, we're the simulation, or we're the simulation in a simulation, or we're the simulation in a simulation in a simulation, right? Eventually, somebody's outside the box, right, reading the paper. It's got to be that. Somebody had to build the bread box. Just saying. Okay. All right, here we go now. Again, everybody, I think we're going to have more changes. I'm seeing the Gulf of California widening. I'm seeing changes in Baja, California, going at least halfway on down. I'm seeing changes in the American Southwest. I'm seeing changes going up. Mexicali was a quantum town. It came into existence, as did Calexico. In the Salton Sea areas, right? Farms and stuff like that, which were always in that around the area in California. That's not the same exact Salton Sea, though, for me. As a kid in 1968, I had a fishing trip with a stepfather that was like the bummer trip from Hades, right? It sucked. When I went to the one time in my life I go to the Salton Sea, California, it sucked. I had a bad time. It was like the place made a point. Okay, so, but the agricultural areas around there, the areas between Tucson, Phoenix, going up over to Las Vegas and back down to the Death Valley into the entire Southern California area, look at Tijuana, Mexico, northern Baja, then go up to the changes that have occurred already in Southern California to Los Angeles, and those areas show the vast changes of the North America is heading east, breaking somewhat southeast, breaking somewhat northeast, and of course going in every possible direction as we all are. We're going to be going up and down, east and west, sideways, backwards, forwards, whatever. Any direction you can think of, this thing is not going to be a smooth, even, plain movement like a disc. It's not. It's going to have all the possible variables in there, and it's going to be very significant, okay? And what I'm showing is eventually we've got that split and that separation coming up into California. And when I was a kid in the 1960s, right, I lived in my life from like 2 years old in the early 1960s to the mid 1970s in California, in Los Angeles. That's where I grew up, in Los Angeles, until the mid 1970s. And of course, the San Gabriel Basin. This is not my San Gabriel Basin. Mine was more a rotund, big half round, rotund kind of looking basin. This is kind of a more of a wedge, cliffed out looking with a plateau above it basin with some high desert up there. Okay, now we've got our gray box areas up there, and they look like they're primed and ready to do this, that, and the other, just like they showed up in eastern Alberta, Canada. The gray box area showed up in there. We've got a lot of activity, everybody. We've got the Denali Wave, which used to be Mount McKinley, which is the Denali water moisture, which is coming into Alaska, a place called Portage, Alaska, which was a nothing place. It was just really a place with a designated name, okay? But it was there. It was listed on the map. It's gone. It was called Portage, Portage, Alaska, Portage, Alaska. It's gone now. And a place that appeared after Portage, Alaska appeared, called Whittier. So these designations are coming and going. And again, I apologize to everybody for being a lazy dumbass. When there was a place near Buffalo, New York, which started with an S, that had the designation, you know how they put, depending on how big the place is, they put big bold print letters and stuff like that. The bigger the place, the bigger the letters. New York City, of course, Washington, D.C., American capital, Los Angeles, Dallas, Miami, Seattle, Portland, and you might go to some middle of the road towns, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, for example, right? Allentown. We'll go down a little smaller, Allentown, and then you've got places like Chattanooga, and you've got places like Akron, Ohio. These are all have been changing. The Great Lakes have been changing, okay? the demonstrations of between, on my 2012 North American Atlas, between a low pale green to that kind of moderate burnish yellow and stuff like that, depending, to demonstrate, elevation and that kind of thing like that. And that's been going on with Minnesota and Wisconsin. They've been changing a lot because the Great Lakes have been heading east. Now people tell me I'm not seeing anything. Maybe I'm missing it. I'm like right here. I don't see it, right? And that may be happening because of us being in a spherical situation of our being, whether we're in cryosleep, cryogenics, whether we're in a spiritual bubble, right? Our own self, our own little world. And we only see what affects us or changes and stuff like that. I go for anything. I even go for mind melding super technology where they've really captured our minds, and they can program anything to us, make you go out in search of fairy dust, that kind of stuff. They really can work you over. I believe that technology does exist, and I think we'll leave it at that. Okay, everybody, again, the botanical life, the plant life, trees, shrubs, bushes, any type of plant, flowers, anything, right? Look for it. You're going to see some healthy, vibrant, even excessively growing plant life, right? Really surging. And then you're going to see these odd dead bands scattered around everywhere. Now, we've all heard of blight. Of course we have, right? Bushes, weeds, have weeds. We've had weeds, mire, the muck in the mire. We have our harsh plant life. Okay, this is different. I've seen things where I've seen drought in Texas in the 90s and the 80s, right? Where everything, like, that's why people from Texas are always asking, you get any rain lately? You're going to get a Texan ask you about rain. That kind of, it's just, we do, all right? But I think this is going to be quite something, because it's showing its pattern and it's moving. And again, when I see stuff moving on YouTube, whether it's a actual real representation or baloney, and I could believe it either way, all right? And my 2012 North American Atlas shows changes. And movies, everybody, check your movies. If you have the ability to see the changes, right? Go back through your old fond movies. One movie recommendation, I hope I don't get a strike for this, I apologize. I want to say thank you, YouTube, for letting me have a channel. Mine is a very, very small channel. Thank you to all my listeners and subscribers. I'm in this because I'm in this. Believe me, you want to go back to your old life. Old life gone. Bye-bye. Forever gone. You go back to your old life. You know what you do? Yeah, lobotomy time. Yeah, I mean that. Okay, I don't mean to be mean about it, but that's a potential. Too big of one. And I'm somebody who's wanted to go back in that old life, believe me. All right, everybody get ready. We've got more to come. I think we're going to see some things happening. And we're already seeing a lot of things happening around us. I don't watch that much news. I think for good reason. I don't like to get too much comedy. So, but also, one last word to everybody. I am a human being, beings plural, right? Because this is not some vague memory where you're thinking, oh yeah, 6,000 plus years ago, 6,450 years ago, I was in Pharaoh's court at the pyramids, and I was one of those guys who kept the room air conditioned, and I spilled mustard on my tunic, and I remember it very vividly. No, people. 2015, I remember my old life. Your jaw here in this human anatomy slopes out sharply out forward compared to the old anatomy, right? The new anatomy, right? The changes that have happened. So the jawline comes out, slopes out, and the ears rest below that bone line, that jawline, right? When I used to get headaches, I used to, oh man, I've got a headache, and I'd take too many aspirin. headache medicine. I take too much. And I said, man, I'm clocking my serum, my blood. I've got too much of this stuff in there, wanting to kill the headache. And I would rub the side of my temples, right? I didn't have this hole. Okay, so the memory pattern of awareness, my identity, my ego, my personality, spirit, mind, brain, whatever, recognizes and remembers the old me. I've got a double chin here, right? I had kind of a more substantial double chin. It really was starting to, wow. I said, man, I'm starting to really get a double chin there. Plus, my ears would have been further up. They're canted back here. They're lower, they're back further to the rear, and they're canted. And you would have moved them up. It would have just been a slight move. Half an inch here, there, a little bit. But I could see my earlobes, right? And I was also self-conscious, man. I said, I've got big earlobes. And when I looked, I could see them like right there because the ears were in a different position. And our skull, I would say we were a little wider. Our skulls were a little wider on the side. The face here is more narrow because you got that, I don't know, that cleft in, I don't know if that's the way to put it, cleaved in bone structure here. And there's a lot of things that are changed. Even the nose, the bridge comes out just a little bit. And if I can make one point about the human beings, which I made to somebody else, I was having a casual conversation with them. I am convinced of one thing about the mix of human beings from the earths. Okay, so far from what I've seen. First of all, thank God, everybody speaks English, and as they did before. There is no change at all, except with a few small words. Meme. Oh, I don't like that word. Meme, and even debunk. Now I debunk. I may have heard that word before, but it wasn't that popular in there much as they use it here. But a few small words, but people communicate primarily the same way. Okay, they do. They talk. They talk to each other. There's no difference there. Okay, so sound is of an incredible significance. Sound. But back to the body issue. Okay, if the doctors said we had a mix of the races or the human beings, and they would say, Mrs. and Mr. So-and-so, of course you can get together, you can have relations, but you can't have children because your body type is this. Your kidneys in one spot. Your mild backbone looked like a stack of turtle shells going on one on top of the other. Or almost look at something that's kind of heart-shaped, right? Sort of, kind of a mix between a turtle shell and sort of heart-shaped with a line going down it. And if you took a pewter hammer, a small, little fine hammer for hammering it out, you stack them one on top of the other with the groove at the bottom base and on up with the most narrow ones, right, going at the bottom of the base of where the spine was, okay? And they got larger and larger as you got to the top and then narrowed back down again. I had the occasion in space-time at the location where I'm at now, right? Of looking at an old Earth, wonderful young human female. She was blonde. And she happened to maybe be jogging by the area or something else like that. She had the tennis shoes. She had the kind of like the body stocking shorts, that were black, form-fitting. She was in very good shape. And she had like a pink well, I don't want to say out and out pink. There's also another kind of shade, pink to cherry, halter top, right? And she had like one of those little small running caps that you have with the open cap on top and a bill in the front. And she bent over and she was tying her shoe. And I happened to look. I said, "That's a good-looking young lady." And I happened to notice though her backbone. And I always thought that was the one weird thing about my old human anatomy, my old self, that was weird about us. I always thought, man, that's weird looking for us. I said, I'm a human being and everything like that, but why we got such weird looking backbones? The backbone here is a friggin' step ladder, okay? It's like they said, hey, we're going to take a step ladder, we're going to shove it down your backside, and you're going to have a brand new wonder backbone. And they're just, I don't know, they're more hefty here. They're more worky. They're like brackets. They're like pegged, squared brackets on top of each other, more mechanical looking than animal looking. Where my old timeline, our backbones would have been more animal looking. Here, they're more kind of brackets like and that kind of thing like that. Leading to one other point, and I'll say back to the point though. I'm getting all over the place. The human beings would have relationships. Even if they couldn't have children, there'd be people getting married, right? Getting divorced, having all the relationships. They'd have crime scenes. And they say, okay, what do we got? What body type have we got? What skeleton type have we got? They'd just be doing that. I am convinced that certain relationships here are grossly exacerbated, right? Beyond the normal pale. Grossly exacerbated with finesse, sophistication, deft, clever manipulation. So that goes on. But people would be having relationships. You would have the different human types getting married. Even if they couldn't have kids, there'd be people, well, I want to have kids, so I have to marry my own body type, right? And that would happen. That would be going on. And it might create some division. True. It may create some division because there's some people, man, either way, what's weird is I still have the carnal aspect. And that's something I have to admit to people. I've got the carnal aspect to my mind. Even with, get the picture. So, with that said, one more last point about sci-fi movies and the past and remembrance. Because memory is what we have. And some memory is going to be fuzzy, edgy, forgotten, long lost, keen, sharp, razor sharp, solid, fragile, everything you can think of, any adjective you want to put to it. But what you're going to find is this. You're going to remember things. And in 1984, I went and saw the movie The Terminator in Texas alone. I don't even remember. Now, let's see. I don't remember how I wanted to choose the movie. I knew about Arnold Schwarzenegger because he'd already done this cheesy movie, which I loved, called Hercules Goes Bananas. A cheesy, real clunky, low-budget movie where they dubbed his voice. You could tell it. That wasn't even his speaking voice. And he also, I think, had done Conan earlier. Already done Conan, right? But Arnold Schwarzenegger had raven black, fine, full-bodied hair. Okay? So when The Terminator came out in my reality in 1984, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he zapped down and he's butt naked and stuff like that, right? And he's down there crunched over and hunched over and, getting into the groove there when he's going to, when he's traveled from time. I saw a man with black, full-bodied, fine, straight hair. That was Arnold Schwarzenegger's hair. Okay? And of course, he had the big, huge biceps and all that kind of stuff. And the music was dun 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 dun. You remember some scenes in movies. They make an impression of you. I mean, I felt I lucked out. I said, man, I went in and saw a movie I liked from start to finish. Man, this movie did not disappoint. I was happy I caught it. Right? It was satisfaction when I saw that movie. And so I remember the scenes and stuff like that. There's a scene later where he goes into a gun shop, right? And he's talking to a guy. Now, this guy looks very much still like he looked on the alternate old Earth, right? The guy at the gun counter who's selling Arnold Schwarzenegger the stuff, right? Let him look at the stuff. And Schwarzenegger, now, he essentially had the same type of clothing on. And his hairstyle was similar, but not exactly the same. But similar. It was combed back, right? He had the black hair and everything else like that, right? And the guy was telling me, yeah, that's Pompato. That's Italian, He was telling me, it's this thing. We're talking the dialogue's the same. The frame setup reference for the movie is the same, right? But I'm sitting there looking at Arnold Schwarzenegger with black hair. Go look at him now. Even his skeletal facial structure is different. He looks like he maybe did the movie 2 years later in time than he did in My Reality. It was like he was physically 2 years older, maybe 3 years older at the most, somewhere in that ballpark. Two, 3, few years older than he was, and he has the light, the auburn brown hair. I also want to point out, though, when I saw Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1987 movie Terminator, right? I noticed that he had this brown hair, right? That's a brown hair, okay? I said, oh, okay. And I maybe had seen another movie or two where it was like that, and I didn't. But I had this specific thought. I correlated, and I made the marking of remembering Terminator to this. And my logic, my download, or my surmise, or whatever else you want to come up with, was, hey, he's a movie actor. He's an actor. They told him, hey, for this role, we want to have you dye your hair this color, right? Or maybe he dyed his hair back when he did Terminator. Maybe he dyed it black. That's why he did it then. He was dyeing his hair was always brown, but he dyed. But see, he had black hair in Hercules Goes Bananas and Conan, right? In Conan, he had that. So what I assumed is I said, hey, he's an actor. Maybe they told him, hey, you look great with this color hair. Even better, man. And they've always done that with actors and actresses. They've said, color your hair because this hair color, you look wonderful. Or for this role, we want you to dye your hair this color if that's what they want, right? So when I saw Terminator, right, I saw him with that light brown hair. Of course, after I jumped, I still had cable TV for a while, and I was watching, and I could see these shows like in the Terminator. I was watching that movie and stuff like that, and I saw the part where he comes up and he's walking behind Billy or something like that to come, but I could see where the ears were, man. I said, man, it was so obvious to see his ears are in a different location on his head, his skull. It's super easy. It's not something that you have to self-debate, all right? And the debate that I had about his hair coloring is that either one stage or the other, he was dyeing his hair either earlier for Terminator or now for Predator. Also, the color tone when the Predator stalks the commando group, right? Our governor of Minnesota, our governor of California, et cetera, was stalking them, right? And after these guys. My reality, the color was primarily green, orange, yellows, and reds, and some blues, minor blues, right? They were in there, okay? But now here it features a primarily blue, as opposed to the primarily green, okay? These suggestions also go with timing. What was created when? Was something created? If something was created 10 years apart, say something was 10 years one way or the other, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Now,